Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and breathe, right? Just everyone can just breathe today. What a crazy match that was. It had almost everything, right? Some drama, some stress, some heartache, some frustration, some rage. I'm still raging about some of the decisions. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but it was a bit of a roller coaster, not gonna lie, right? I was frustrated, I was stressed, I was surprised, I was raging at VAR, I was gassed up. Ugarte, Casemiro getting everybody hyped up. I mean, basically, I was all the emojis yesterday. I was just going through all of them, which isn't necessarily a horrible thing, right? You kind of want that catharsis. You kind of want that almost like that flooding of emotions when it comes to United matches. Danny B in the house. Good to see you, my friend. How are you doing this morning? Hope you are doing well. Always a pleasure, my friend. But after that gutless first half against Everton recently, I wanted a showing from the boys tonight or last night. And after recent results, you guys know I demanded 3 points. Like there's just no other way around it. It wasn't perfect against Ipswich, but I saw a definite fight. I saw a definite mentality. I saw a definite commitment from the players to themselves, to each other, to Amorim, to the club, to the fans. I saw them push back. Again, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't the best, but I did see some of that. So we're going to talk about the match, some of the performances, obviously the big decision that we're going to chat about. As you guys can't see in the poll, I really do want your opinion on that. It's okay to just try to be honest with yourself, after watching a lot of the replays on that challenge. But I want to know what you guys thought. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what Amorim had to say on a couple of key issues as well. So I'll share my thoughts as well. But most importantly, I want your thoughts. So get involved in the chat as we go along. If you're not able to catch the live, it's no worries. I'm glad you're still able to catch it. Get involved in the comments. I do respond to all of them if I can. Sometimes YouTube doesn't notify me of comments after the fact. I don't know why, but I will do what I can to make sure I respond because I do want to make sure everybody's voice is heard. So like the video, subscribe if you're new. We are on the road to 3K, you guys. Check out the memberships as well. I did invite everyone who is a member, get involved in their man of the match vote because you do have a cool man of the match emoji if you are a member. So let's get stuck in, starting with the starting 11. He says, I turned it off after that first goal. Onana. Yeah, we're going to talk about Onana because I've got thoughts. You guys know I have thoughts. I've not, in the last couple matches, I've completely just crossed the line with Onana because he's just forced me into this situation. There's just so much about his game that's lacking as a keeper. And we're going to talk about that a little more in depth. If you guys can't guess, he is one of my three thoughts. So, well, big up, Danny. Sorry. Hopefully you turned it back on because it was a bit of a roller coaster. But the team selection, I mean, injuries meant Emery only had 6 outfield players on the bench and 2 keepers. It's just where we are right now. We got Onana, DeLitt, Maguire, Yoro in the back, Fernandez in the pivot next to Ugarte, which has been fine in recent weeks, right? Hoyland, Xerxes, and Garnacho kind of leading that line, and then Dallo and Dogu, obviously. Mizraoui got a little bit of a rest, only for about 45 minutes, though, right? Aiden Heaven and Cheeto Obi Martin on the bench as well. And we got to see Dorgo and Garnacho kind of start together a little bit on that left. I mean, it is needs must. It is bare bones right now in terms of squads and the team selection, so it is what it is. Overall, the two halves were very different. Looking at the numbers, looking at the performances, obviously going down to 10 men in the first half played a role in the way we kind of had to shift in the second half. But I almost thought we looked a little better in the second half. And not because I feel like there's much tackle. I think the mentality was definitely improved in the second half, but I do think that we looked better with the way we were forced to kind of have to play, having to sit a little deeper, having to hit him on the break a little bit. It looked like a lot of us were in our elements there. But again, I think a big part of that was down to the mentality. So as predicted, though, in the match preview, Ipswich were happy to let us have the ball and then break quickly. That's what they were doing. They were pressing a little bit more, and they did press us pretty well. They weren't as effective in that press as some of the other teams we played, but they did do that because they clearly can see that's how you can get something. But they were happy to let us have the ball. We had 60% possession in the first half. We were also a little bit more attacking to start the match than we have been in recent weeks. We had 8 shots, 5 on target in the first half, but still just an XG of just over half. I think it was like 0.6. Second half was a different story. Again, 10 men will do that to you. Our possession dropped down by half. We dropped to like 28% in the second half. And as a result, because we had to sit a little deep, because we had to resort to kind of playing long balls more frequently, our shots on target took a nosedive in the second half as well. Again, it was a flip flop. Ipswich were happy to sit deep the first half. We were kind of forced into a situation where we had to sit deep in the second half, soak up the pressure, and then kind of look for the counterattack. And to be fair, we did do that adequately. Um, After that early miscommunication with Onana and Dorgu, I mean, I thought we looked fine. Dorgu was really, really good, I thought. Constantly involved. Again, very physical. Movement was excellent. Does need to dial in his crosses. His crosses do need work, but he's at least getting there and he's at least putting them in, and he's not like skying them. Some of them are just, they're not beating the first man or they're a little behind. And so I'd like to see a little bit more variety there. But then he sees red after winning the ball and catching Hutchinson with his studs, even though Hutchinson's leg is basically lateral. So it wasn't like a high challenge. Dorgu, his follow through catches him on the leg. Now, I was not happy about the red card. You guys, so far, Danny, I'm going to assume that's you that thinks that red card was Dorgu's, that was deserved. I just didn't think, and I'm not the only person who thinks that. Like I was watching somebody else this morning who basically says the same thing I do. Like Hutchinson's leg was low. It wasn't like it was reckless or violent. And if you watch it again, like the actual whole play, Dorgu wins the ball. How else do you explain how the ball went back towards the touchline, went out when Hutchinson was trying to play it in? Like Dorgu wins the ball. It's just the follow through that catches him. And to me, I don't like the way that the game is going, that in a 50-50 like that, if you win the ball and you take out the other player, they're looking more at what happens after you win the ball and the follow through than they are about the fact that you win the ball. To me, a 50-50 is about winning the ball. I don't care if you absolutely muller somebody. If you win the ball, that's the challenge. That's the 50-50. Game's gone if that's the kind of stuff that we're just going to, I'm sure it hurt. I'm sure it was painful. It must have only been like a 3-minute pain because Hutchinson was back up as soon as Dorgu was shown the red. Hutchinson was fine. Kieran McKenna didn't even react, and he was standing right there on the touchline. Like if the opposition coach is not even bothered by it, then like, come on. Couldn't have happened at a worse time either, because we were starting to get on top. We just had to get to halftime to catch our breath a little bit, and that just kind of derailed a lot of it. I think the worst part about him seeing red, though, is that we have to see Dallo at left wing back again for 3 games, because I think, if I remember correctly, this does trans over to the domestic cup. So that if I'm accurate, unless they've changed it and I just forgot that they changed it or something, Dorgu will miss this weekend's FA Cup match, and then he'll miss the match against Arsenal in the league and another match against Leicester, if I'm correct. But you guys let me know what you guys thought about that. Then he says, only saw it once, probably a red, but could have went either way. The VAR makes it look worse. VAR always makes, the more you slow things down, the more you still frame it. Because if you're still framing only on the contact, that doesn't tell the whole story. You have to look at the whole thing. He comes in, he slips a little bit because it's wet and rainy. He wins the ball. That's why the ball flies back over the touchline and goes the complete opposite direction. And he just follows through. It is what it is. Again, just because it hurts, just because there's contact, doesn't mean it's a foul necessarily. I didn't even think it was a foul. Again, I look at if a player wins the ball or not. If you win the ball, fair play to you. I don't care what happens after the fact. That's the 50-50. Winning the ball, not what happens after the fact. I'm annoyed. I'm still annoyed by that because I just think it was ridiculous. But 3 games without Dorgu is a little rough. But speaking of Dallo, though, I was not happy with Dallo. He's just so poor on the ball. He just panics, and he lacks any semblance of composure when he really just needs to just be calm, be smart, play the smart ball instead of trying to there was an instance where we were kind of defending in and around our own box, and the ball comes to him, and he probably needed to just boot it, but he decides to try to play a little weak pass directly across our box 5 yards to a teammate, but it's such a weak pass and it gets intercepted, and then everybody's got to close down the Ipswich player again. It's just a little ridiculous. He gives it away again later a few minutes after that, in the final third, we go on the attack, and he turns and he doesn't even really look. He just passes it back, and he passes it straight to an opponent, and it gives Ipswich a counterattack. I think it fell directly to Delap. Like, he knows we wear red when we're playing at home, right, Dallo? Like, what the hell is he thinking? It was just, he just lacks. And again, you've seen this from a lot of players though. They get in their own head under pressure. Dylan's been doing it a lot recently. Bruno was guilty of it recently as well. Just kind of passing, like, you just got to chill out and play the smart ball. Slow down mentally. Danny says, can we appeal the challenge like we did with Bruno? It just depends on if you think you're going to get the appeal. Because if you try to appeal it and you don't win the appeal, then I think it extends to like 5 games. I don't remember now off the top of my head. To me, I'm just like, it should never have been a red in the first place. If you want to give it a yellow because it hurt, fine. I don't care. But it's just ridiculous, man. Danny says, Dallo needs sold ASAP or wearing the same. Dallo is one of those players that for sure I think we need to look at upgrading. Now, the problem is there's so many areas we need to upgrade. There's so much dead wood we need to get rid of. And then we can't do it all in one summer. So it becomes about priorities. How much money do we spend? What's the biggest priority? Who we might be leaving, and who's available in the market? All these things kind of have to work together. So I'm sure there's a good Venn diagram for each position that we're trying to strengthen. And with all those factors involved, there's the one player in the center that works well. But Dallo, the problem is let's say we get rid of Dallo, so that's Ahmad, if you think Ahmad's probably better in the right wing back, and then maybe Quenda, which is fine for depth. But the question then is, do you like Ahmad as a right wing back, or do you like him more as a 10? Because if we lose Dallo, we want to say, okay, Ahmad's the 10, like, then we got to get 2 right backs. Because Mazraoui did fine, but that's just not his position, unfortunately. But on Mazraoui, I thought he was solid after having to come on basically for Dorgu, technically coming on for Garnacho. He also could have had a goal on that one chance where Bruno kept the ball in play and just busted a gut. Mazraoui was following. Bruno's ball was just not good enough. He needed to play that ball a little earlier, or whip it in around the defense. So Mazraoui could have had a goal, and it's really unfortunate because both of them did really well to get into that situation. I thought Ugarte was immense. Ugarte gets it, man. And whether that's just his personality or whether because he was bigging up the crowd, he was making them challenges, he was getting stuck in, like, especially in the second half, he was so crucial for us. He was doing a very good job of getting the ball. And then when the pass wasn't on, he was carrying the ball himself, which is excellent. That's what we need in those situations. We're not always going to have the options to pass, especially when you're down to 10 men. You got to be able to show that you can do something with it when you get the ball. Hoyland needs to learn a little bit more about that. Zirkzee probably needs to learn a little bit more about that. It's not always going to be where you're going to get the pass. At Dallo, you need to do better. We need some players who can complete a dribble, take on a man now and then. Bruno, I thought, did really well. He's basically the quarterback, dictating everything, dropping deep, very deep. There were times where he was the deepest player. He would come back with McGuire, and then Yoro would kind of split apart and go high up the pitch a little bit. And Bruno was almost the deepest player at times, just kind of dictating play. Clearly, the plan was to play it long, but I thought he put in a captain's performance. He created the most chances in the match. He made 15 passes into the final third. He won 5 out of 7 of his duels. He needs to work a little bit on his long passes. He's lost a little bit of power, and there's too much backlift, too much backspin on some of those, and they're not quite getting to where they need to be because he only completed half his long balls and only half of his crosses. But I did read, though, or heard it somewhere yesterday or this morning, that like our last 6 goals that we've scored have all come through Bruno, whether he scored them or whether he's been involved. So people who don't rate Bruno, I don't get you, but I'd welcome a conversation on why that is. But the guy is one of the best players in the Premier League since he joined. Like, literally, he's created them more chances than anyone else. So it's just a shame that we haven't had better strikers in the last couple of years because he really should have like double the assist. But what are you gonna do? Garnacho, I thought, was a little unlucky to have to make way for Mazraoui, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Garnacho later on. I don't think there was anything there. It was just, Amorim thought, if we're losing Dorgu, we need a little bit of physicality. We probably need to play a certain way, and it just is what it is. I get you're frustrated, and I know there are people who were like, Hoyland was playing worse. Hoyland should be hooked. it's not about like, and this is the same reason why I get into debates with people about captaincy. Too many people think that their captain should be the best player. That's not the way it is. It's not the way it works. Same with this. Just because Hoyland was maybe not playing very well, it doesn't mean it was that Amorim thought he was better. It's just you need to just keep Striker on the pitch and not, what would you have done if you would have taken off Hoyland? So it is what it is. I mean, it doesn't mean to say I thought Hoyland was better. Hoyland didn't have a good match. Xerxes didn't have a great match. They're just not good enough in the final third, either of them, especially in their 1v1s. Hoyland is regressing. I think we know he's not a bad player. Whether or not that means he's a great player is up for debate. And whether or not that means he will be is up for debate. I can't say that. We don't know. But we know based on last season he's not bad. He's too young to just be thrown in there as the number 9 and be told, okay, figure it out. Like, you can't do that. And the problem is, without the coaching, and without leaders to come around him, and without maybe even, and this isn't blaming him, but without maybe an intentional effort to go put in the hard yards off the pitch, get a personal striking coach or something, he's regressing, because I'm not seeing very much coaching. Now, Amorim has said we're not doing a good enough job of finding him, but at the same time, Hoyland needs to get out of his own head, because the more frustrated he gets, the more every match that goes by where he doesn't get involved, it's building and building and building, and he needs to kind of put a bow around each match and just focus on the next one when this one's done. But he has regressed. I thought Xerxes was better in the build-up, and he did run himself ragged for the team, but I just don't think it's good enough overall. Did we sign him to be like a 10? I just don't see enough from Xerxes. That doesn't mean he was bad. He was doing fine to win the ball and carry it. Some of the basics, just like Hoyland, were just not quite there for me. Teresa, welcome. How are you? Dallo is trying too hard to impress Amorim, in my opinion. He knows there's a new guy coming in to challenge this position. Well, the problem is Dallo is doing the same things he's always been doing. But we saw this under Ten Hag too, though. Dallo did not start the season very well under Ten Hag, and maybe that has to do with Mazraoui showing up, but Dallo was kind of left back for beginning of the season. It's just the simple things that Dallo is not doing. His final ball is garbage. His 1v1s are garbage. He panics in these kind of tough situations. But now we're stuck with him at left wing back again for a little while, so it's freaking annoying. Teresa says, Garnacho unfortunately chose to go down the Rashford route and will probably find himself not fit to make the team for some time. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about Garnacho, because I was very disappointed in him yesterday. Danny says, yeah, Hoyland on the fence with him now. Hoyland has got to, like I said, in my 5 steps to save the season, some of this is going to have to, and I'm not saying it's Amorim's fault, but some of the responsibility to change this is going to have to be on Amorim. He's going to have to make a focused effort on Hoyland, whether that's giving him one-on-one time with a coach, trying to get someone else to come in personally. Hoyland shouldn't be our only striker. He's too young to be doing this. People expecting him to be what a Osimhen or a Gyökeres or a Harry Kane or whatever, people expecting that from him and constantly assessing him and measuring him by that standard. It's unfair. But I do get that he's got to do better in a lot of areas, because, again, like I said, he's regressing, because what we saw last season was not bad. What we saw under Ruud even was not bad. But some reason, I don't know if it's too tactical and he's too young and he's not quite understanding or what, but something has got to be done, because yes, we're not finding him enough. That's how I feel. That's how Amorim feels. And looking at the stats, that's just the way it is. He's not getting found enough in the box. But at the same time, there are other areas of his game, and you can't only just be the guy who finishes. You have to be able to contribute in other areas, whether that's better movement, whether that's better hold up, whatever. And even then, that's not to say he's never been good at linking up in his hold up, because he was very good at that last year too. There's several counterattacks we had last year where he did a very good job. But again, that's why I say he's regressing. Even the stuff he was good at, he's getting worse at now. It's really annoying. Xerxes, though, is not much better. Xerxes gotten trimmer and everything, but he does not use his size. I mean, he won no aerial duels. I think he challenged for like 5 aerial duels yesterday, Xerxes, and didn't win a single one. Like, you got to do better. So the strikers were struggling. Anybody want to change their vote in my FC 25 career mode? Because strikers, maybe you guys want more strikers priorities. Bandomag, welcome everybody. Good to see you. She says, anyone notices how many players are AWOL? They're all injured when there's only 2 known injuries. Sure, Ahmad got injured that last game, so where are the others? Something might be up. Well, we know that Manu picked up a thing. Manu's had a couple injuries this season, though, so starting to get a little worried about him. Mount, I mean, does Mount even exist anymore? Shaw, I mean, Shaw's a non-entity. Collier, I can't remember what happened with Collier. Something came up in training or something, but obviously Yoro, Eriksson were ill for a bit. Ugarte had a little bit of a thing going on. Mazraoui, I don't know if we would have seen Mazraoui at all had Dorgu not got sent off, because remember he picked up something on his knee against Everton, so he was a question mark going into this one. But it's gonna be hard. Yeah, we're hit with a lot of injuries right now, but no one is going to give us any sympathy, because United, everyone wants to give Arsenal all the sympathy. They want to give Ange Postecoglou all the sympathy. No one cared when Ten Hag was dealing with an injury crisis. Everybody just said, "Oh, you can't use that as an excuse." Well, we couldn't use it as an excuse, but Arsenal can. Arsenal were also a situation where they didn't buy better. They should have bought strikers, and they didn't do that. That's why they're not scoring goals. They were failing to score a lot of goals before they had all these injuries. So Johnny Evans, Johnny Evans has got another injury. I haven't heard much because he played. I feel like he played in one of Amorim's first games, and then we haven't seen him since. I think it might have been against Ipswich where he got done. I think it was either by Delap or Hutchison or somebody, and we haven't seen him since, which is too bad, really. But this is going to happen when you're getting older. We know Evans was already kind of dealing with a little bit of an issue early on in the season, and he's 37, 38 now, so he's probably going to be done in the summer unless he goes to some sort of League One side or something. I don't know, or maybe he goes back to play in Ireland or something. I don't know, but yeah, Evans. We're looking a little thin. No Licha, no Evans. Lindelof just came back and he's getting a little bit of minutes here. Obviously, no Ahmad is a big hurt for us, but it's really frustrating. What did Amorim have to say? Amorim didn't have to say a whole lot. Obviously, he was remarking about how somebody asked him did you notice playing a little bit of counterattack, and he said he doesn't really like that, but it is what it is. He said he was asked, do you think the players are perhaps more comfortable being on the back foot and playing that way? And he said, I think that is clear, but it is hard for me. Sometimes it's like you are fighting, and that's why I make that analysis also. When we are together, we have players like Maguire and De Ligt defending the box. They are really strong. I do think they were very strong yesterday. But then when they have to cover a lot of space, the game changes. Yeah, I don't think there's too much space to cover, especially this is the problem with defending or keeping even. It's in order for the ball to get there, the people in front of you have to have not been doing their job, or they've not been positioned well. And I think this pivot is hurting us a bit. It's too easy, and we saw it again yesterday for the opposition to get the ball from their half to our third with one pass, because our midfield is very open. And then you got to put these defenders who aren't quick, who aren't really fast, quick enough, agile enough to defend these channels, and you're putting him in this hard situation. Yes, Maguire has his limitations, but he also has his strengths, and one of his strengths is winning those long balls. And he did fine yesterday. De Ligt, similar. I think De Ligt probably shouldn't play on that left side. He's much better on the right side if he's got to play on the right side on one of the, not centrally, but those two are not really good in that situation, but they also weren't purchased for a back three, so it makes sense. Yoro, I thought, did really, really well yesterday, and we're going to talk more about the defenders too, but Amorim said, so I know that, but I have to just not think about that now. Of course, we need to survive, but it's really hard for me to play like we play in the second half. But I feel the players are more comfortable sometimes defending in the low block. So he says, it's clear the players are more comfortable playing that way, playing a counterattacking system. We've known that for years. We've called out, and he's faced, criticism for not doing that. But he also said, this is not how I want to play. This is not how I think my football should be played. Amorim wants football to be entertaining. He wants to play the way he wants to play. And so he's admitting it's hard for me to play that way, but he's also kind of saying, I get it. Like yesterday with the situation that we were in, it was kind of, that's what we had to do. So Lionheart's big up. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Good to see you this morning. How's everybody doing today after that? A lot of you guys are all over the a lot of you guys are getting involved in this voting. And so far, everyone thinks it was a red card. Why do I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't think it's a red card? But it is what it is. But Good to see you, Lionhearts. Get involved in the vote. Let me know your thought. Again, members, let me know who you thought your man of the match was. You do have a man of the match emoji if you guys want to let me know, because we're gonna go through some of my thoughts here because I've got thoughts as always. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Starting with thought number one. Surprise, surprise. Oh Nana, oh no no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I'm done with this guy. I'm fucking done with this guy. Dunzel Washington. I am so annoyed. Hugely, 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 hugely at fault for both of our goals, in my opinion. Largely carries most of the blame for the first goal because that lack of communication with Dorgu gives Ipswich that early goal. Again, he's too far out. I don't know what the hell he was doing pulling a freaking Taibi. He's older, so he's a more senior player. He should be taking the responsibility in that situation. And he can see everything as the play is coming to him. He can see. He has to communicate with Dorgu, the 20-year-old, in that situation. He's got to do better. And again, that's a big part of why I don't like Onana as a keeper these days, is because he has no leadership. There's no communication. There's no initiative there. The mentality is weak. He just came out, nothing going on, no like point it here, clear it there, no words, no nothing. Like, what was he doing? It's like he's been told recently, like, hey, you're too glued to your line. And so he was like, oh, that means I need to come off. Like, he just did the exact opposite in the most extreme, careless manner. Like, it was so embarrassing. You can't make those kind of mistakes at this level. And he makes them on a regular basis. It's such bad decision making, man. Bandomax, I just watched the highlights at the moment. Can't stand watching the whole game. Just switch on to the second half now. That's pretty much all you have to do with United. Leonard says, I was somewhat late to the stream, but am I mad to say I really enjoyed the game last night? No, I thought it was I started the game, the stream, like it was emotionally, it had everything almost. The drama, the frustration, the highs, the lows, the stress. I thought we played well, too, to pull ourselves back into it. I didn't think we played, like, great, but comparatively speaking, again, it's all relative, but Danny says, I was the same, turn it off after the first goal. I wanted to turn it off, but I couldn't, it was interesting, but no, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, if you enjoyed the game, that's one thing. There's nothing mad to say you enjoyed it. I mean, it's football. If you can't enjoy a bit of the ups and downs, the roller coaster, then I mean, you might want to go watch chess or something. I don't know. But yeah, Onana, not great for that first one. It was really, really bad. And what is he doing for their second goal? Did you guys watch that one? Because I don't know how that ball makes it into the net. I really don't. It comes in, like the defenders, I mean, it catches a weird bounce. Onana, like, he doesn't even try to get to it. He literally waits until it's already basically past him before he dives. You guys ever watch the show Daria? You guys remember the opening credits of Daria where they show like the little couple second clip of her playing volleyball at school? And the ball will go, and then like after it goes, she's just like, eh. Like, that's what it reminded me of. Like, dude, your keeping is so subpar. It's not even fair. I think he made one good save late in the second half, but his actual goalkeeping has regressed so much that he's cost us points. He's cost us results with his goalkeeping on several occasions just this season, like not even considering last season either. And his passing has dipped. He played a ball to Euro that was a simple pass, and it was like behind Euro. It almost went out for a corner. Like, and this is what I mean. The reason that ball to Euro was bad because Onana can't get out of his own head, and he starts messing up the simple things. That's a mentality thing. He's a liability at this point, Onana, and he has to go. So maybe you guys want to change your vote to goalkeeper for FIFA. Rob, welcome. Rob's man of the match was a Harry Maguire. Big up, Rob. Good to see you. Bandomex says, yeah, I'm done with Onana too. It's just happening too often to be a coincidence. Yeah, I'm done with him, man. I really am. I can't handle Onana anymore at this point. Rob says, thought it was an exciting game though. That was down to chaos, and maybe the chaos does make it exciting. I'm not happy about the chaos, but it does make it exciting, right? So it is what it is. We love the drama, apparently. But you guys let me know what you thought about Onana, because I'm done with this guy. He's so bad. And again, it's difficult because we have so many areas in the squad we need to improve on. But again, I think he actively hurts us so much that I'd rather take a cheap offer for him now. I'd just stick with Bayindir and Vitek next season and then reassess the keeping some in this next summer, like in a year and a half from now, because Onana hurts us so much that he needs to go. He's an actual detriment. We would be better with 10 men on the pitch and no keeper than with Onana at this point. That's how frustrating it is to watch. Lionheart says it's the first time this season was out entertained. Well, it was interesting. It was definitely not a boring game, I'll say that. But you guys let me know your thoughts on Onana, because I'm freaking annoyed. Teresa says Onana is disinterested. It's evident big time. He just can't get out of his own head, man. He just does it's the simplest things and he can't do them. But moving on, number 2, because we got some set piece goals to talk about. We have, I think, 9 goals from set pieces right now this season, and 3 of those were just last night. So we made it 33% of our set piece goals were just from last night, which is interesting stuff. So let me take this off the screen here. Danny says, yeah, I'd rather stick a scarecrow in between the goal at this stage. Scarecrow would actually make a stop, wouldn't it? Fucking hell. But 3 set piece goals in 1 match. Who'd have thunk it, right? I thought Bruno looks a lot better on free kicks than he does on corners, although his corners were a little better last night too. But he had perfect delivery on that free kick. It was such a good ball, such a perfect, like, dangerous ball. And it nabbed an OG for us, from Morsi. So I'll take that too. No problem with that. And then De Ligt grabs another one from another corner after Ipswich failed to clear the danger. The ball's kind of bouncing around. I think Dallo gets a shot off, bounce backs out, and then De Ligt just kind of lashes into the roof of the net. This is why I get so angry when we fail to clear the danger on our own box on set pieces, because that's the kind of shit that happens when you don't clear the danger. You don't know what's going to happen. Just make that first ball. Tell yourself in your mind, I don't care who you are, that ball is mine. I'm going to go and get that ball and do something with it. But this is what happens when you fail. It's just inviting a goal when you don't clear the danger. And then we have another one where Maguire actually comes in unmarked and actually attacks that ball in off the corner kick and heads in the winner. It was the winning goal to start the second half. And that's what I want to see from Maguire more often. Coming in and basically just deciding in that moment, like, no, this ball's mine. Coming in off the front foot, because you saw he gets it off the front foot and just powers it home. You see how much power is on that ball because he attacks it instead of just jumping off the back foot with it all the time. That's what he always does. The pity we can't do it more often, but I'll take it, right? The defenders were getting all up in it last night. Lionheart says, Onana, I'm still on the fence about, because he's a good keeper and has good games, but when he fucks up, it really hurts us. Yeah, there's no gray with Onana. It's either he has a good game or he costs us points. He cost us points in the Champions League last year. He is single-handedly the reason when we got knocked out last year in the Champions League because of his mistakes. And he's done it several times. He messed up against Brighton, Crystal Palace, Leicester, last night again. He and Dorgu, kind of the miscommunication, they're both responsible, but he, in my opinion, shares the majority of that, because Dorgu can only see Onana. And Onana's older. He's coming off his line. He's not communicating, and he can see everything going on when Dorgu can't. So Onana needs to do more in that situation. But the set piece goals I was happy about. Is exciting. I think maybe that's what adds to the excitement. We do love a little bit of a set piece goal, right? But it was good stuff as far as the set pieces. Proud of the guys for doing something like that. And speaking of, though, bringing me to number 3, dynamic defenders. Our defenders were the only United players on the score sheet. And if I'm being honest, they not only were they our best attackers on the night, because we've seen this from Licha as well before he got injured, but an argument can be made that our center backs were the best players on the pitch last night for us. And I'm not even talking about just the set piece goals. How good was Euro last night? In the final third, if you watch the match, he was staying up high. He was pressing in the final third when Ipswich were trying to play out. He was just doing everything he could. He pressing, creating chances. That Cruyff turn near the byline in Ipswich's own corner to turn and then try to pick out Højlund. That was just filthy. That was not even fair. I even tweeted, like, Euro, stop that. He's got a family. What are you doing? Honestly, Højlund should have just taken that shot, but he let it run. He must have gotten a shout from somebody, but that was all Euro creating that goal, and Euro was just he was immense last night. He was so good. He looked way better than a 19-year-old should ever look. He looked like a 29-year-old. Um, Winning the ball, he was like controlling his own area. He looked composed. He looked calm. Even when like Onana would play him a bad pass that put him in a rough situation, he just never looked like he was shaken. And he's looked like that a few times now. I was really proud of Euro. Lionheart says, in the second, the link-up play from DeLitt and Mags from a corner was almost like Colin York. Yeah, dude, we looked good last night on those set pieces. DeLitt making a lot of good recovery tackles, stepping in to win the ball with a toe poke here and there, directing traffic, talking to his teammates, carrying the ball up the pitch like we've seen Maguire do a lot, just to start building that first phase of the attack. Like I liked what I saw from DeLitt last night. Maguire, I think what was exciting for me was watching that battle between Maguire and Delap. And Maguire handled that well. He won the most duels on the night. He won all of his ground duels, Maguire, and he won 5 of 6 aerial duels. Completed all of his tackles. He made 2 out of 2 tackles as well. And then, of course, he grabbed that goal. I don't know what else you could have asked for him. I was a little worried at times with how high up our defenders were playing, especially when we were on the attack. I thought we were leaving a lot of space in behind, but it didn't end up causing too many issues because, again, we kind of knew what Ipswich are going to try to do. They're going to try to win the ball, soak up the pressure, and then hit it long, and that's what Maguire was there to do. If Ipswich were smarter, they would have kept another runner up there with Delap because it was clear that Delap was preoccupying Maguire. Another runner to pick up a second ball probably would have helped Ipswich a little bit more, but I'm not going to complain about their lack of tactical nous. What are you guys saying? 7 votes. 86% of you do say that Dorgu should have seen red for his challenge. 14% say no. I'm going to end the poll there. But so maybe I'm just the outlier. Maybe I'm looking at things through a little bit of bias. But I just, going by how I try to look at 50-50s and stuff, I wouldn't have, like, I would be unhappy with the red. But it is what it is. Lionheart says Maguire had Delap in his pocket. He was doing a good job. They were in Delap. You could tell Delap was getting frustrated. What a little shithouse he was. He was throwing elbows. When he went in on Ugarte and then like Xerxes and Mazraoui came in to step up, like Delap, he's got a little bit of that old school shithousery in him, a little bit of that Rooney in him when it comes to that. And I don't have a problem with it. It was just funny on the night as an opponent to watch him do that. But on the night, I mean, at home against relegation sides, this should have been a 3 points. Shouldn't have made it as hard as it is. We should be going into this on a normal, all things being equal, expecting to get the 3 points. Now, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It just is what it is. Ipswich only had a couple, like 3 wins in the whole season so far. They're cert for relegation. Like this should have been a simple thing. The injuries does make it hurt. The struggles that we've had do hurt us. And it's the same mistakes we've seen time and time again. It wasn't a great performance from us, but I was proud of how we pulled ourselves back into it, how we responded to going down to 10 men in the first half. I thought that we did well to withstand the pressure that Ipswich were throwing at us time and time again in the second half. It reminded me a lot of what we used to see under Ollie and stuff. And I liked the shift I saw in the mentality again, especially in those dying seconds, the composure that I saw. When we won a few free kicks near Ipswich's corner, and like Bruno and Eriksson were on them, and the old Bruno might have just taken that opportunity and tried to whip in a cross or try to get a goal, which would have probably led to a counterattack that we probably could have conceded to. But he did well to stay composed, keep ball, kill time. He and Eriksson were just kind of trying to kill those time. And you guys know me in that situation. What do I always say when we're defending a lead in the final minutes? I tell you, make it boring. Take it to the corner flag FC in those moments. I don't care. Make it boring, make him frustrated, draw more fouls, get a throw in, get a corner, whatever you got to do. I don't care. Pass it all the way back to the keeper if that's what we need to do as well. Make it boring, kill the clock. So I have no problem with that. How do you guys feel about, no youngsters really getting on the pitch? Did you think that was fine? Were you fine with it given the circumstances? I'm sure had Dorgu not been sent off, and maybe we would have seen some different changes. But again, Amorim's hand was forced a little bit. Did the result take priority for you in terms of youngsters? You guys let me know on that. But just like that, we're up to 14th, the dizzying heights of 14th in the table on 33 points. We are tied on points with Spurs now, who I think lost to City on the weekend 1-0. Newcastle pissing me off. Newcastle, you had one job, man. You looked so good against other teams, and then you fucking shit the bed against Liverpool. You had one job, Newcastle. You couldn't even get a goal. That's ridiculous. Lionheart says, "Why did Hoyland get a yellow?" By the way, talking about shithousery. Oh, Shea, man, what a little shit. Yeah, Hoyland. And this is one other thing. Like Hoyland was getting frustrated on the night. He was getting super, super frustrated. He was letting the ref know it. He was getting involved in a lot of those things. And the other Ipswich probably knew that they could rattle him. His tension is already high again because of the pressure he's feeling, because of the mistakes, because of not getting goals. And then he's young. The frustration is going to get to him. Now, again, on being young and on being frustrated, again, I was disappointed. I was very, very disappointed in Garnacho. I feel like a parent when I say that, but I was very, very disappointed in Garnacho, who not only went straight down the tunnel after being subbed off, but took to Instagram to vent his frustration with a photo of him being frustrated and disappointed at being taken off. I get that you're frustrated. I totally get it. Everyone in their right mind is going to be frustrated. But dude, come on. You've been done for this kind of shit in the past. We know that's why you were not in the matchday squad in the derby for Ghost and Amorim on the touchline. You turn around and do the same exact fucking thing. Like, come on, dude. How you handle your frustration in these moments is what's going to say more than anything. Like, you're allowed to be frustrated, but it's up to you to choose how you want to respond to that. Like, and this is the difference in a lot of players. Like, do you guys remember that match under Jose Mourinho where Juan Mata came on as a sub? I forget who we were playing. He came on as a sub, and then he was subbed off for, I think it was like Fellaini or somebody. I don't remember. Because Jose literally said afterward, like, we knew they were going to start throwing long balls. We needed height. And, like, that's just is what it is. Did Mata go down the tunnel? Did he take to Instagram to vent his frustration? No. Mata is a consummate professional. He totally understands. It's not personal. Like, it is what it is. It's not that deep. And players, especially these young players, need to get out of their feelings a little bit more and think about the bigger picture, not take everything so personal. And again, you'd have thought maybe Garnacho would have learned his lesson by now after being done for this a couple times now, social media activity, being done for throwing a temper tantrum. But it's that kind of behavior that's going to limit him as a footballer, not technicality or anything, because I don't care how good you are. It's the mentality, and this is another example of that. This is going to impact the way his manager looks at him, his teammates look at him, and how fans are going to look at him. And any future club that might buy him is going to look at him that way. It's not great. Let me see what we got here. Teresa says, what he did is a no-no with Amorim. Yeah, and Amorim was asked about it after the match, and he said, I'm going to talk to him. And then if you saw today, Garnacho put it on Instagram, like, you know, I forget it was like what a win for United. I don't remember. So I don't have Instagram, so I don't know. But he must have gotten talked to, because he came out today with another post, which was like the exact opposite. But again, it's like shooting gun. You do it, you can't take it back. Like, it's going to stick in memories. Now you can try to make up for it, but you can't take it. You can't undo it. Dana says, yeah, done with Garnacho. He's selfish, spoiled prick, and you can see it in his game too. He thinks he's better than he is. Sometimes I do get that impression. Again, I don't like to try to assume what people are thinking and feeling in those moments, but it's hard not to interpret what you're seeing, right? Now, I do think that he's young. His decision-making needs work. He does get a little bit of tunnel vision at times when he gets the ball in the final third. But again, all I can do is judge the behavior, and what I saw last night was just spoiled. It was like what Ronaldo did under Ten Hag at that Spurs match, except Garnacho is nowhere near what Ronaldo is. So whether that's what he thinks or not, he's got to do better. Danny says, sell him. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. You know, Amorim, again, was asked about it. He's going to talk. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, don't be surprised if Garnacho is not in the squad to play Fulham this weekend as part of, you know, discipline. I wouldn't be surprised, like you're saying, Danny, if he was sold in the summer. At this point, he's all profit. We know that there were heavy links. There were a lot of big talk of that, you know, the move to like Napoli or Chelsea was on, and that just didn't end up happening. Obviously, we got rid of Rashford and Antony, so we can't get rid of everybody. And then there were signs of life in Everton. He was coming on, he was doing the thing. But again, it's shit like this. It's selfish, it's childish, it's reactionary. It doesn't matter how old you are, you know, whether you're Ronaldo, whether you're Garnacho. Selfishness and pettiness and childish behavior is selfishness and pettiness and childish behavior. It is what it is. Like I've said, you know, when Rashford and him were dropped, it's going to be up to Garnacho to decide, you know, what his future at United looks like if he wants to be a part of this system. Rashford made his choice. Ronaldo made his choice. Sancho made his choice. It's time for Garnacho to make his. Do you want to get your head down and get to work, stop being a child, grow up a little bit? because you're playing a first team football now for almost 3 years. Like, it's time to grow up, and it's not fair because you're still young, but at the same time, these are the kind of choices and sacrifices and hard decisions that you have to make sometimes. It is about being humble sometimes. It is about being selfless. It is about swallowing your pride. Sometimes it is about being a sub for majority of the season if that's what the manager thinks your best role is, coming off and making an impact. It is what it is, but it's up to you to decide if that's what you want. If you'd rather do that and help the team, or if you'd rather go someplace else and play and be a starter. Like, that's your choice. Um, it's just he's got to make a choice. Danny says, "Yeah, look how Xerxes handled it when he got hooked against Newcastle." Exactly, and you can tell Xerxes was upset, but he came out. The fans, responded after the next game, and he did what he needed to do. And he's been improving in the build-up. I do think he's not great in the finishing. That final ball needs work, but he works hard. He covered so much ground yesterday. So Rob says, I can understand his frustration, but he needs to not sulk so much. Yeah, like I said, I totally get the frustration. Anybody would be frustrated. Like, nobody wants to be taken off in that situation. I'm sure Dorgu didn't want to be taken off. I'm sure he didn't want to see red. I'm sure, like I said, Xerxes didn't want to be taken off. Mata under Mourinho didn't want to be taken off. But this is what it is. It's about the team. And this is like, and if the manager takes you off and we lose, then the manager is the one who's going to look bad. It's not because anyone thought Garnacho was bad. I think that's the distinction that people fail to make. It's not saying like that because everyone else was kept on and Garnacho was taken off. No one said he was bad. It's just the decision the manager's making. Lionheart says, that's what happened. I was wondering what all the noise was about. Players should just use social media for sponsor commitments and leave it at that. Yeah, social media, man, I'm telling you, it doesn't do anything good, man. It really doesn't. Mad Hatter says, would you sell Garnacho? I can ask. Let me put that in the chat here. And again, try to not let just what happened yesterday influence your decision, but it's more about what we think Garnacho maybe contributes to the team. Does he fit? Do we look like he's going to get any better? Does he look like he's developing mentally, tactically, technique, whatever? But I'll let you guys tell me. You guys, and this is also why I wait a night to do the match reactions, so we don't make these kind of snap decisions while we're all up in our feelings. So, but I'll let the chat decide. It's a good question, Matt Hatter. Welcome back, man. Danny B says, nah, I can't have that attitude when we're trying to gel the team together, Lionhearts. Yeah. To me right now, it's about the fact that Garnacho represents a lot of money, and he doesn't quite fit the system. And that money can be stretched a long way to get a couple players, especially if you're really smart. We could get someone like Jonathan David, Angel Gomez, Bashali. All these guys are going to be free agents in the summer. And then you can still strengthen in that position with someone like a Nippon or a Mastantuono or a Turkey or whoever in that position. Go get someone for the deeper role. Get you an Edison. Get you João Gomez. Get a Hayden Hackney, someone like that, a Jashari, someone who can play in that role and do that good. You can make the Garnacho money straight, even if it was 50-60, that stretches a long way. And again, that's my point. Danny says, backed him enough to this point. Yeah, you can't have that behavior. And I think the biggest frustration for me with what happened last night with Garnacho is, again, the fact that he's been disciplined for this several times already. And that's the problem. That shows me that you're not learning. I say it to people all the time. If you couldn't use your words, how would I know that you're really sorry about something that you've done? I need to see a change in behavior. It's not enough to just get done for it, say you're sorry, and then continue to do it. If you couldn't use your words, how would I be able to tell that you actually are sorry? And I'm just not seeing that. And that's the problem. It gets to a point where it's like, fool me once, right? Teresa says, there's a lot of selfishness in that team. They've forgotten it's a team, not a one-man show. There are no saviors. Those scoring can't do so without someone giving them the ball. Yeah, exactly. Hoyland's got to do better. Garnacho's got to do better. I did think they fought for each other last night. They stuck with each other. They came to Ugarte's defense. They were getting the crowd. Even Casemiro. It'd be easy for Casemiro at this point in his career to sulk. But he came on. He put in what he needed to do. He was getting the crowd hyped up. Did you guys see that screenshot of that woman when Casemiro came and hyped up the crowd? That woman was patting the crest on the shirt, man. Like, that's part of why I got so excited last night. I even tweeted, like, when Ugarte did it, when Cass did it, I was like, go on, Manuel. Go on, Cass. Like, that's what we want, man. You're at home. You're you're fighting for it, you tooth and nail, you're up against it. It's United versus everybody, literally. Just fucking get everybody involved, man. And big up the crowd too, by the way, man. That's the 11th or the 12th man. Danny says his finishing is Sunday league level. Piss off, ungrateful. His decision making is not great. That's the part and it's not even just on the pitch. Again, it's the stuff like this, the decision making when it comes to these kind of things. What are you guys saying here in the poll? 50-50 right now, split between selling Garnacho. Half you say sell him, half you would not sell him. Lionheart says Garnacho is probably disappointed to be taken off because he's playing for a big money move. If he's again, anybody would be disappointed. Everybody would be frustrated. It's just how you handle that. You don't have to let the emotion choose your behavior. You don't have to. And that's just part of the decision-making process. That's the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is what Garnacho did. Responding is what someone like Xerxes did. And there's a difference. Teresa says Dogu came off with dignity. Yeah, I mean, he probably felt bad. It was rough. I still don't think it was a red personally, but it is what it is. Danny says, yes, get rid. I can name 2 Argentinians that's younger, hungrier, probably higher than ceiling than Garnacho. They're all lined up, man. Mas Santuano's out there. We've got a couple players out there. Subiabre, probably going to Chelsea, though. Danny says, actually name that 4 or 5 young. Danny is my South American scout, if you guys haven't guessed yet. You guys have any questions about any South American players, field them to Danny. Kai, welcome back, Kai. Big up, happy for the win. Sad for the red and the goalkeeper we have. Sad for the red and the goalkeeper we have. Yeah, no, I'm done with Onana. If you're just joining, yeah, Onana was my first point. He's got to go. There are already so many detriments to his game, and even the things he was decent at, he's getting worse at. And again, it's all mental because he had his moments. He had some good matches for us. He even started the season a little on a bright spark, but when he makes mistakes, he can't let go of them. He's like Ted Lasso, right? Just be a goldfish, 5-minute memory and move on. He can't do it. Mad Hatter says, if it were this simple, I would give Napoli Garnacho plus cash for Osimhen. That was a rumor I saw earlier today. Was that exact rumor that maybe we were thinking about? Or no, it was Højlund was the rumor, sorry, that we were going to offer like Højlund and then like 30 some odd million for Osimhen. Now we're getting a lot of Osimhen links. The only thing that worries me with Osimhen is a little bit of the attitude and then the wages, because the wages are what we're trying to get a better handle on, and you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. I think David is just as good. I think Gyökeres even better, and both of them are on cheap wages. Again, it's about priorities, it's about money, and it's about looking at the squad. Do we need a striker more, or do we need other positions more? Because that, to me, is going to dictate where we spend the money. We could get 3 players as free agents in the summer, in a midfielder, a left-sided center back, and a striker, and still have a ton of money to play with, especially if we sell Garnacho or something, or Rashford goes too. Don't forget Rashford could be going. Anthony could be going. We will end up making money on Sancho. I know a lot of people don't understand how that works, but with the amortization process, we will make money when we sell him this summer. And so it's not just we paid 85, so that's 85 out. It's how much we pay up front. That's how much we paid. So then it says probably best to get a good transfer fee because a swap doesn't benefit. Yeah, swaps, you don't see swaps very often. You really don't. Unless maybe on very rare occasions where there's like maybe both players have like a year or half a year left in both clubs, and like with the Mkhitaryan and the Sanchez thing, but you very rarely see swap deals because like Danny says, it doesn't do anything positive for your FFP PSR. It doesn't show any money coming in. And so that's why they rarely happen, especially now. You're not going to see swaps now. Lionheart says, Garna and cash, Christ on a bike. Am I the only one who doesn't rate him that much? Well, Garnacho, because he's young, because he plays in a very highly coveted position, and because he is excited, like, we can say he's not doing well, but that doesn't mean he's not well rated. Like Rashford, like we all know it, but Rashford's very highly rated in like Spain and France and whatnot. And a lot of clubs do think that, they will look at the situation, they will factor that in and say maybe it's just the United situation that makes him not do well. But he is highly rated, and because he's so young and because that potential is still there, that he will be worth more. It's just the way it works. Teresa doubts Osimhen is a thing. I'm still not convinced. It is the one that's dominating the headlines right now. I think that depending on cost, I would still choose Gyökeres. Honestly, I'm torn right now between four of them. Osimhen I do think is good. I do think Jonathan David is very good, and he is a free agent. Gyökeres is my dream. I'm also like starting to get a little more hot on Benjamin Šeško. I completely forgot about Benjamin Šeško because I thought he was a cert for Arsenal. Don't sleep on that dude. That dude, he may be only 21, but he is very, very good. Rob says Alex Merritt of Napoli is listed as free in the summer, better than Onana. Who is not better than? Like I told you guys, I played co-ed indoor last week. Played the second half in goal, and I was better than Onana. I'm joking, but seriously, like Onana is just not great. Danny says Christian Ordonez, CVM, Rob Franco, Maston Tuono, Tobias Palacio, Juan Jimenez. I like Valentin Gomez a lot too, Danny. I think we were linked to him a while back as well, but I do like Valentin Gomez. Rob says, yeah, cheers, go scout them now. Yeah. We've done a couple of different mini scout reports on some of these South American players. I did like Kevin Zinon. I think I want to say I did Christian Ordonez as well. I can't remember all off the top. I do a lot of scout reports. Sometimes it's like when I used to be in school, I would have to study really hard for a test, but then like I've only got so much gigabytes up here that when I'm done, I kind of move on. I kind of forget. I do a lot. You guys know I look at a lot of players. So Lionheart says, I mean Osimhen, I don't think he's worth Garna plus cash. I do rate Garnacho, by the way. Sorry to, yeah, I don't want to spend that much on Osimhen. I know a lot of people are just like that 75 million release clause. We're not paying a release clause because we don't have that kind of money, but you're not going to get him for less than that, so it's difficult. Redondo, yeah, he was another one we were linked to before he went to Miami a while back. Who's the? I want to say he plays for Betis. He's a United fan, a midfielder. I forget his name now. Johnny Cardoso, is that Cardona, something like that? Is that who that is? He's another one that's pretty decent as well. Yeah, I thought I remember being linked with Valentin Gomez. He's good, young, left-footed, quick, good on the ball. I like him a lot. So, but you guys let me know. Let me check this poll. So now 2/3 of you are saying you would not sell Garnacho. So interesting. I'm going to end the poll there. Let me know why you wouldn't sell Garnacho in the chat. But get involved in the comments. Happy belated birthday to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, by the way. He did turn 52, I want to say, yesterday. So big up Ollie. He's doing really well with Besiktas right now. Obviously, if you didn't catch that, like a couple months ago, he took over as Besiktas manager. He's been doing really, really well with them. So, Redondo, is he related to the Redondo? Yeah, I think so. So, yeah, Redondo was linked to us, went to Inter Miami, and he's doing really well. So, but big up. Big up everyone for getting involved. Good little conversation. I might be able to come back a little later on today to do another video on the Glazers and the ins and outs of some of the way the shares and Sir Jim's ownership and the terms and conditions of that, how that all plays out, and maybe some ways we can brainstorm on how to force them out. Because, like I said yesterday, I did a little bit of research. I spoke to a couple of people who are very more informed financials and ins and outs of that on the situation and things. So I have a couple different things. Maybe we can put together our resources and get them out of the club. But might come back and do that one a little later on today. I don't know if I'm going to have time, but hopefully we'll see. Get involved in the comments if you guys weren't able to join the chat live. You guys know I love seeing everybody get involved. Hit the like button for me on your way out. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're on the road to 3K. And if you want to get a little more involved, you want to get access to the cool little emojis like man of the match, if you want to get the cool badges next to your name like some of these guys do, please get involved in the memberships. Check those out because they do help you get involved in the channel. Not only do you get the emojis and stuff, but you also can get access to options to contribute to what we do on the channel. Content. You get to suggest players to scout. You get to suggest topics when we have multiple people on the show, like when Dylan shows up or Justin or Joel. You also get an option to join virtually in the highest membership level to come in and get your thoughts in on match reactions, on previews, and things like that. So a lot of cool options. You guys know that I do like to help you guys get involved. So take a look at those when you get a second. I appreciate everybody getting involved. As always, you guys know that I do love to get the conversation going. You guys have been really great with that, especially recently. We have a lot of really good conversations, especially the other day when we were talking about amorim. So until the next video, you guys, enjoy your day. It is, what's today, Thursday? It is Thursday. Wow. Enjoy your Thursday, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.